when you did hit that, how did you get through it?
I think you're talking about imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome, self-doubt. Yes.
Yeah, it's actually cyclical for me.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You are tuned into the creative frequency. Come with us as we explore the creative process with artists from all areas of the creative spectrum. The creative frequency starts now. Hi, thanks for tuning into the creative frequency. I'm your host, Kent Tarbox, and I'd like to welcome today's guest, Jennifer Sowders. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hi.
Okay, we're going to get back to her in just a second. I just want to let everybody know kind of what we're going to do in here today. In this episode, we're going to get into the multifaceted world of creativity. I'm asking our guests if they'll share some of their experiences with inspiration, maybe roadblocks that they've faced, if they've ever navigated through imposter syndrome, and any other tips, whatever we got that we can talk about in the creative sphere. So,
Yeah.
Jennifer Sowders, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I guess I found out I was good with art when I was in junior high. I'm not going to give you a whole history of me, but it was kind of like that or science. And I sucked at math, so I went the art route. And I ended up going to art school at the Columbus College of Art and Design. Had a little bit of life happen, and then in 2016, I became a full-time fine artist. So I've been really having fun since then, I guess you'd say.
Okay. What is a full-time fine artist?
Full-time. Well, I know you think full-time might be painting all the time, but it's not. Sometimes it's paperwork and taxes. It's a lot of logistical shows and making plans and yeah. So it's all those unhidden or unseen things along with actually producing the art.
Like sitting down with people like me and taking an hour out of your time to discuss creativity.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. This is an opportunity to self-promote. Please don't be
Yeah.
shy. Okay. I want everybody to know that the name of her gallery, and I'm going to let her tell you the name of her gallery and give you an explanation for it. I love the name of her gallery. So, Jennifer, would you tell us?
Well, it's Mon Gallery. And when I first came out with it, some of my friends were like, ah, it's so French. And I'm like, it stands for middle of nowhere because I'm on a dead end road on the edge of Hancock County. And yeah, I'm surrounded by fields and streams and woods. And yeah, I
Okay.
remember growing up playing in the creek, where all my friends in town were riding bikes and yeah, my summers were farm stuff.
Okay. And we will probably come back to this for a minute, but being out in the middle of nowhere, as you put it, is this one of your sources for inspiration? The creeks, the fields, the woods?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I can go out and there's a hill that just goes right down to a creek and then I'm instantly surrounded. So I wouldn't trade that for anything, minus maybe a few extra mosquitoes.
Right.
But yeah, it's wonderful.
Okay. I guess right there, let's just kind of dive right into it then, because we're already here. What would you say is creativity in your words?
I would define it probably different than other people, but I see it as a survival skill,
Okay.
really,
Okay.
because I look back and all the times when I've had nothing, but I've had a desire or a dream, I wouldn't let my current circumstances stop me.
Okay.
So I would find a way to make it happen anyway, and that way was by being creative.
Okay. It's I'm not asking you to age yourself, but you said this started in middle school. How long have you been involved in being creative, doing your work, doing the art?
Well, the '80s. I'm a
Okay.
child of the '80s, so
Okay. I'm a product of the 70s, so Well, I get it. We could share some off-camera experiences, I'm
Yeah.
sure, but we won't do that
Hey,
here.
big brother.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Is it is there a moment in your life where, and maybe it's happening right now, do you feel like you've been your most creative, or is it just a perpetual thing?
Well, I can tell you the day before yesterday, uh, I was down in Columbus and I was doing a live paint, and a guy came up and he was so excited. It's like he could see what I was doing and you could see his wheels turning. He began to share this idea for a mural. So when I meet someone that has a dream and they're really excited about it, for me, to make that dream happen, where they can turn the reins over on their dream. It's something precious to them so that I can guide it and grow it. That's kind of exciting. I do hope that I get a call back
Okay, yeah,
because I was like, I kind of want to do this because it was like a painting with other three-dimensional things added on it. And I could tell he'd been thinking about this for years. And when he saw what I could do, it finally like came full circle for him.
okay.
So, yeah.
What, for those of us that aren't, and I'm a photographer by background, what is a live paint?
I just go and I work and people can look over my shoulder and watch me paint.
Would we call that plein air or
I was working from a photo reference,
okay,
so yeah. But yeah, I was doing at Ohio Electric Cooperatives, and the theme was linemen cleaning up after a storm, reattaching wires to the pole and stuff. So I had to calculate out, I got to get this done. And by the end of the night, I had it in the frame, and then they had it in silent auction or something at the very end of it. So someone ended up with it.
okay. Is this something you do often? Do you do this with organizations and things, or are these
Yeah,
kind of
I've
yeah,
done it a few times, but generally, if I go anywhere or I'm showing art, like I'm going to be doing Artomatic up in Toledo, I like to have something to do. I mean, it's great to talk to people, but I can talk to people and work at the same time. So one thing you'll learn about me is I like to be very efficient. So I like to do more than one thing to really maximize my time.
and it's interesting you bring this up that you can paint and talk and that to people. My experiences with other, usually painters, is it's a very solitary existence, that they're cubbied into their studio. They're block out the world. They do whatever it is so that they can focus.
Hmm.
You don't sound like you take that approach. That you don't mind being out and engaging and talking.
Yeah. Actually, I blast music in my studio, and yeah, sometimes I'll get up and have a squirrel moment, but
Right.
when I am working, I am pretty focused, but I'm able to be a little ambidextrous, I guess.
Okay. And when you're blasting music, what are you blasting?
Dance music,
Dance music,
electronic.
electronic. Wow. The Mozart puts you to sleep. Is that it? Pink Floyd's Too Drifty.
I like the beat. It
Okay.
keeps me moving, so
Okay.
I might get up and dance a little bit too. That
Okay. Well,
happens.
we're on video. You could blast something right now. You want to bust out a dance move for us? Do you think that do you think creativity is something that is just you all the time, or do you shut it off, decompress by doing something non-creative, or is it just part of your being?
No, it's an all the time thing. Like I was kind of telling you at the beginning there, I remembered when my kids were little, I had my husband build a knee wall so they could play on one side and I could do art on the other wall. Money was tight and I needed some specific piece of furniture. I knew that wasn't going to happen because it wasn't in the budget. So I walked around the house and I'm like, what can I repurpose? And I ended up back down in the basement underneath a table being used as a prop for a door over, one of those horse saw kind of
Mhm.
things. Anyhow, I ended up repurposing the furniture, and I was so thrilled. It was exactly what I wanted, and, you know, it didn't cost me anything but time, and it's I think a lot of artists feel such satisfaction in moments like that, whether it's art or repurposing objects, or if your painting doesn't work, you repurpose the canvas and make your masterpiece over top of the dogs playing cards.
Right, right. As a photographer, we come at things differently, and I actually come from a photojournalism background, which that in itself is a very disciplined form of photography, that there are a lot of do's and don'ts and rules and things. And it's nice now when I am out doing my own creativity, my own creative thing. Digital is great because if you don't like the picture, you just delete it. You can take it again. You're not spending money on film and everything else. So there is kind of an instant feedback.
Mhm.
And other times too, though, I think it's nice to maybe do something and then I might set it aside and then come back to it a month later with clean eyes or a different mindset. Are you a sketchbook person? Do you walk around with a sketchbook? Do you sit down, you get inspiration, or are you an iPhone, snap it on a photo and paint from the photo?
Well, I don't do sketchbook at all, and people might think that's crazy, but I sketch things out in my mind. I am more excited, like, I'll see something and it'll fry in my brain,
Okay.
and then, I just can't get away with it, so I do this, like you said, taking pictures and throwing things in folders, scribbling notes and that sort of thing, but I sort it all out in my mind. And if I do have to edit things like in Photoshop, I mean, there's been landscapes where I have to remove a bridge or something, have to put something else in its place. I've already sketched it out in my brain, so I'll look for whatever I need to fit what I see up there.
Okay. So you mentioned Photoshop. So are you a painter?
Mhm.
Are you also a digital artist? Is it safe to call it that you create in Photoshop?
I don't see myself as a digital artist per se. I use it as a tool to refine a scene just how I want it. You know, I'm one of those people out there when I'm in the scape and I see how glorious it is, and you can't get it all in just this little square when you're taking the picture. So I'll go cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. I'll come back in the studio and then I'll assess what I need to merge, what I need to cut out, and so I use it like that.
Okay. I find that interesting because my wife and I have discovered on Prime, and we discovered this a while back. There are two shows out of the UK, and there's Portrait Artist of the Year and Landscape Artist of the Year. I don't know if you've ever seen these or not.
I have
If
not.
you yeah, if you have Amazon Prime, they're out there.
Okay, I'll have to
And
look.
so we'll talk about landscape. They have 4 hours, and they put 8 people out in this, and they give them this landscape, and they go, "Okay, you got 4 hours, paint," right? And as a photographer, I always found it interesting that they're like, "Oh, yeah, well, I like this part of the building over here, but I really like this tree, so I'm just gonna put this tree over here." There's a
Yeah,
lot of creative license,
yeah,
whereas a photographer, it's in front of me, I kinda have to take now, yes, I could go into Photoshop and maybe add things and stuff to a photograph. I don't do it. 1, I'm terrible at it, okay? And 2, again, my background is I'm kind of what you see is what you get.
yeah,
But outside of photography, I hear this from other people that you can do exactly what you just said, and I find that fascinating, um, that I like this structure or this bush or this whatever, so I'm just gonna stick it here.
yeah.
And it's an accepted practice, correct?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta do what you gotta do. I
Okay.
mean,
Are you
I
Go ahead.
well, you can take 100 pictures and maybe you'll only find one that you can work with,
Oh, exactly.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
I I do a lot of sports photography for, the Courier here in Findlay, and I think people would be I don't know if they're shocked or not, but I'll do a football game, like, we got like, soccer's coming up, I got a soccer game Saturday I gotta go shoot, and I'll shoot, I don't know, 8, 900 images, and I'll submit 4 for publication,
Yeah.
and most of it and it's not that I'm bad, it's just that's the way it works,
Yeah.
you know?
And it's grueling, the
Yeah, it
process
is.
of elimination.
It is. I've been doing it for 25 years. I'm actually getting pretty quick at it, but, no, sometimes too, it's just like, "Oh, that's just awful," and I hope I get something better. Do you primarily find inspiration we talked about this in your environment around you. Are you primarily landscape? Is that I'm looking behind you. I see some people
Yeah.
in that, but are you where do you work?
All right. Well, these days I'm primarily landscape. I can tell you that pre-COVID, as a discipline, I would go do plein air painting in the parks with some groups. Then, during that time, it was kind of welling up in me that I really want to do bigger pieces. For plein air painting, because the way the light changes so quickly, you tend to do small paintings or smaller size. And I decided I wanted to do big paintings. So the timing of COVID was nice because that pushed me into the studio. I began to experiment with things that I hadn't used before. And so I started off by doing some landscapes with watercolor on Yupo. And that's something I'm really into with my portrait series. And I also branched off into acrylics by way of a palette knife, which is completely different. But so I'm holding hands with watercolor on Yupo landscapes, with acrylic landscapes, and then my portrait based series that's on watercolor on Yupo. And I have to hold them all because they are all doing very well. So
What?
I can't let one fall down.
Right.
So it's a little bit longer for me to get a cohesive group, but it's worth it.
And again, my limited knowledge and my knowledge of painting comes from watching TV more than anything. Watercolor is a very distinct process. Is that safe to say? Um, Acrylic is a bit of a different process with a palette knife, and I've seen that done. Do you do anything with oils?
I started off doing that from school, and I loved oils. And, I realize now the reason why I explored with acrylic was because I was trying to get rid of the acrylic paint after doing a mural. And I'd never done anything with a palette knife before because palette knife was scary to me. I never would do it with oil because oil is so expensive. I mean, I could never conceive in my mind of taking that much paint, and using it all. Yeah. Yeah. Could never think of that. But acrylic paint is relatively cheaper. And since I was trying to get rid of it, I went crazy. And it was the best thing ever.
I guess it's I guess what am I trying to say here maybe? Do you have a preference? And again, I know you're holding hands with 2 of them. Is there one you lean more towards if you did let go of a hand, what hand would you let go of?
Ooh.
Good
See,
question.
I've had to let go of, like, I worked with encaustics several years ago, and I kind of put out a fleece, and I decided, I had the series going for how long, but I didn't feel it was going anywhere, and I wasn't really feeling fulfilled in it. And so I decided if I can't get it in, one more show, I'm just going to let it go and let other things take its place. And when I did that, it felt like someone died. I grieved because I really believed in it and loved it, but I knew it wasn't the path to take. And it was a good thing because these other things came to the forefront. But to answer your question, wow. See, you have, you know, the watercolor on Yupo, I can paint edge to edge, but I still have to mat and frame. If I take them in shows, they have to be with, the acrylic instead of glass,
Right. Right.
glaze. And so they get scratched when you move them sometimes. And so it's kind of a pain in the butt, whereas the acrylic is a little more forgiving. So if I have to look at it from that standpoint, maybe I would pick acrylics, but only because of a framing issue, because
Okay.
I just love them both equally.
I want to come back to something you said there, that you gave it up and you felt like you were grieving. And I don't want to sit here on a creativity show and talk about failure. But do you think some artists that, and I don't want to use the term fail, but maybe they stop or they step away from it or something. Do you think it's because they can't let something go maybe when they should?
Hmm. It's either that or they're not persevering. There's a lot of, kids. Kids are all artists, right?
Right.
What makes the difference is the time you put in. You have to keep showing up and working, working, working. You will learn. Even if you didn't go to art school, if you put in the time and you're putting the paint or whatever medium it is and you have that passion, you're going to get better. There's no questioning it. So for some people it's just, the art is at that ugly stage. And I don't know about other people, but like there'll be a point where I just kind of am sad for anyone looking over my shoulder because it just looks ugly. It looks terrible at that stage. And so I just tell them, you just got to have faith. You know, I can see what's going on. You got to understand, I got to build from the back. There's a lot going on, and I have to put in layers and layers and layers. So come back later and you'll see what I'm talking about.
You have
So
just described to anybody watching this or listening to this the portrait artist of the year conversation that my wife and I have all the time when they start. It's like, it looks like an alien.
yeah.
How is that turned into a person and a portrait, right? And as the show progresses and they have this 4-hour time limit, all of a sudden at the end it's done and you're like, wow, how did that came from that? And again, you're talking to someone here that knows not a lot, not much at all about painting. I'm amazed at that process. And you're right that they come at like the 2-hour mark and you're looking at that going, it doesn't even look like a person. Or the landscapes are the same way. They'll just be blobbing things in, and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. Which brings me to a question: how do you start? And I'm saying this because I've watched enough of these shows that every artist, I don't care if it's a landscape or a portrait, some just start splashing paint on, some draw, some take a picture. What do you do when you sit behind a blank canvas to get started?
Well, I have a to-do folder every now and then. I have a whole photo album every now and then when I think, oh, when I get done with this painting, I need to start thinking of the next one. And I'll go through and I'll start putting my little hearts on the images and that sort of thing for the landscapes. And of course it starts really when I'm out hiking in the woods. You know, it's I really am looking for, that sunny day, and I love autumn as a theme because I like the quality of the light in the autumn. It's just kind of more diffused and warm looking. But some days the sun doesn't shine. I have a painting right here. The sun would not shine for me that day, but there was so much pretty stuff in the background that I'm like, you know what? Andrew Wyeth did this all the time. I shouldn't have an excuse. Let's let's do this. And so, yeah, I'm looking for enough things to get me excited. And if it's the portrait stuff, there's some story, a lot of, the people modeling in them. It's either pictures I've taken that I've connected with, or I kind of get a story in my mind and then I'm like, "Hey, can you model for this?" And then it just kind of happens.
Is your family done modeling for you? Have they all sit there and go, "Oh man, she wants to do me
Yes.
again"? Are they done?
Uh yeah. So I'll keep running through them if I keep having ideas pop up. But
Right.
actually, when I get back to my watercolor on Yupo portrait, I already know my next painting that it's going to be, because something here recently reminded me of my one of my grandmothers that has since passed, and I had a picture of her in her garden, and so I want to pay homage to that. So I already have it forming. I guess when I'm in between landscapes, I'll jump on that bandwagon and finish that idea.
Sometimes I'm picking up a connection here. My mind never stops, and I'm always thinking of projects or things or stuff, and this is a new one. I mean, so here we are. Here I am doing this video podcast thing,
Hmm.
and that's something I've been ginning it up for 6 8 months, right? And so here it is, and we're going to see how this goes. And I can kind of squirrel sometimes too, and walk down and go, oh wow, that looks cool. Let's go find that out. But I do kind of always come back. In my case, I come back to photography, exploring different avenues of that. And we're not going to talk about my photography. That's not why we're here. We're here to talk about your work. But my mind it's a constant swirl, to the point sometimes even doing this, I've woken up at 2 in the morning, and then I get busy brain and I can't go back to sleep. And that's terrible. I want to move to two situations maybe. And one is, have you ever faced a time where you've just hit that roadblock and you just don't work for a week or two? Okay, here's the laugh. So either you have or you haven't. So I'm going to turn it over to you. And when you did hit that, how did you get through it?
Well, I think you're talking about imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome, self-doubt. Yes.
Yeah. It's actually cyclical for me. I don't know. I think every artist has some level of it, but about every 3 months I just kind of hit a wall and I start to get depressed, and you go through all the stuff. Why am I doing this? La 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 la. And does something trigger it? Maybe I didn't get into a show that I wanted to, or something stupid. But then I just have to, and my husband, he recognizes this too. So, I mean, he knows. So we're getting better and better about this, but he knows how to support me. So, it's about, why am I doing this? It's not really about for other people. It's like you have to go back to the light at the end of the tunnel and get the tunnel vision, and then just start again. We've been traveling a lot, so sometimes I'll bring work and work on it, but sometimes not, and I'll just have a great time. And then when I come back into the studio, it's like, I feel rusty, and then I'll do a bunch of busy work things. I'll clean things, I'll rearrange things, and then it gets down to, hey, you're not doing anything. So the way to knock out of it is just to start. You just have to start painting if you want to or not. And then all of a sudden it clicks. It's like the roller coaster starts off flat, and it's a pain in the butt as you start going up, but once you get over that peak and then it all comes back and it's like boom, boom, boom.
I like that. It's because I've learned too, and I'm 60, 64 years old now. And that didn't take long. I'm telling you, we got here quick, but I don't believe that everything's flatline. I like exactly what you said, because I get the same thing. I will go a couple of weeks or something where I won't pick up a camera. And right now I really haven't photographed anything because I'm doing this. This is taking some time, but I also know that I'm going to have to take a break from this. I'm going to have to take a break from the world, and I'm going to do what I do, which is get in my truck, grab my cameras, and I go out and wander about the countryside and look for things to photograph. And I guess it's cheaper than therapy. My wife might argue with that, because the truck, the cameras, the computer,
Yeah.
but it's my time to get back into it. And I think it's interesting that you identified it too, that it's maybe every 3 months. So maybe once you've identified this cycle, you realize this isn't a bad thing. This is just
Yeah.
how I am and what I do. And it
Mhm.
sounds like you've really kind of embraced it, that it's just kind of the way you work.
Yeah, well, like in a landscape, you have your valleys and you have your peaks. And, it's hard. Like, I've done some things just out of the sheer joy of doing it, and I've hit some peaks just by sheer, by throwing seed and seeing where, or throwing the baloney and seeing where it's going to stick on the wall.
Right.
And I've hit some really high things. You can't compare, when you start to compare stuff, then it can be negative,
It
and
can.
cycle you into a depressive thing. So at the same time, those dry times or whatever, there's meaning there too, in the valleys. Actually, historically, there's quite a lot of good things that have come out of the valleys for musicians and actors and everybody. So, yeah, embrace it.
It's interesting, because my first photo show that I entered, and I really didn't get into entering the show game until maybe 5, 6 years ago, when I started photographing for myself, being creative. And I was thrilled that I submitted 3, 2 got in, 1 got juried out. It's like, wow, okay, I'm doing great. And I'm standing at the opening, and my wife wasn't able to be there. She had to be out of town. And I'm standing next to my work, and I don't have my little name tag on because I don't want anybody to know who I am. And 2 women came up, and they said, "Oh my God, it wouldn't be a photo show if there wasn't a black and white photo of a cemetery." Blah blah blah. And I mean, talk about a gut punch, right?
Yeah.
And a I'm a veteran. I've been around the world. I think I'm a fairly tough guy, but I'm like, wow. And that really hit me. And then 2 minutes later, a couple other people walked up and went, "Oh my God, look at this! Look at the light. Look at the." And I learned right there, I
Yeah.
don't care what anybody thinks anymore. I take it, I put it up on the wall. You like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. I'm not, and I don't mean this the way it's going to sound. I'm not here for you. I'm here for me. This is my work. You're either going to like it or you're not. And there's not a damn thing I can do about that. And boy, that was a freeing moment for me. It
Yeah.
sounds like maybe you've had, yeah. That's what I'm going to get. So you've had one of those experiences as well, then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last month, the Ohio State Fair. Uh, and what's ironic is the piece that I entered in the fair this year that got in, and not only got in, but won an award, I entered last year. Didn't get in at all.
Okay. Shared
So, yeah.
shared experience.
Yeah.
You're right. I had there was a show, Finley Art League, and my photo took best of show. First time I've ever had a best of show. And nobody was more shocked. Thank you. Nobody was more shocked than me, considering the show prior, the same photograph was juried out.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
It's ridiculous.
see, it's nuts, isn't it? And everybody out there, if there's anybody out there that's even going to listen to this, that has had this experience, you know exactly what we're talking about. And one of my goals, so you know, and I'm going to toss this out there to the people that hopefully listen to this, I'm going to try to get a couple of the people that have judged shows for us at the Findlay Art League. And obviously I want to talk about their art. And certainly, but I want to try to get into a judge's mind. I want to know what they're looking for, because to me, it's like scrambled eggs, because who knows, right? You walk in, you go, oh yeah, God, that looks great. Here's best of show and I'm done. But we know it doesn't work that way. But I love the fact that you've had the same experience.
Yeah.
That's classic. You know what? We're reaching the end of our time here, I think. I don't want to keep everybody forever. Jennifer, is there something I haven't asked you? Maybe you wish people knew about your creative process, or you, or something? Here's your moment.
Well, last year I entered International Artist Magazine landscape competition, and I ended up getting grand prize. That was one of those peak moments, like, oh my gosh. Well, this morning I got an email saying I was shortlisted for this year's landscape in the same magazine, which blows my mind. I mean, completely different year.
Congratulations.
So I don't know, but shortlisted last year I didn't know what shortlisted meant, you know. I didn't think I like, maybe shortlisted, like maybe you're gonna be a finalist or maybe not. I think it's a little better than that. So it's gonna be something. I don't know what though, but I'll take it.
To everybody out there, we're going to keep track of this. We're going to follow this progress, because I'm going to ask Jennifer to keep me posted. And once this happens, we're going to get it out there, and we'll come back to you and find out how you did. But congratulations, kudos. I think there's anytime our work is recognized, I think that's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And as you get recognized in these higher peaks, that's fabulous. I love that. To this day, I guess the one thing too, I'll never forget the first picture I had published in the Courier 25 years ago. You know, silly little newspaper, but my wife actually framed it. She cut it out and said, "Here you go."
Yeah.
And I've had so many of them in there now. I don't even think about it anymore. But you know, kind of like your first kiss, you know, your first date, whatever, your first love. But no, congratulations, Jennifer. That's fabulous. I want to thank you for your time, and thank you for your openness and your honesty. And I hope this was a pleasure for you, because I have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen out there,
we're all in the same boat.
We are. We're all trying, right? We're all trying. There will be some links and stuff in these videos, and I want to make sure, but go out, check out Jennifer's work at the MON Gallery, the middle of nowhere. She's on the web. And again, Jennifer, thank you very much for your time. And we're gonna put an end to this here real quick. And I'm just going to ask you to stay on the line for a second, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to The Creative Frequency. You know what to do. Like, follow, and subscribe. Then join us again for the next episode of The Creative Frequency.